Kalimari Desert, and unfortunately, despite what you may think, I've tasted the sand and it does not taste like calamari. What's also very disappointing is, so you're driving around in the desert, you see this big, cool like plateau. You want to go on top of it? Guess what? You can't. You can't go. There's not modeled. There's no modeling on top. In fact, like very little of anything on top is modeled. The plateaus over here aren't modeled on top. The plateau over here isn't modeled on top. This isn't modeled on top. There's like nothing modeled on top, which is odd because I feel like there has to have been a moment in like testing where someone like clipped up a wall and like saw down, but no, it's just, you can't, there's nothing up here, which is a little disappointing because I feel like the plateau is like the main central visual like landmark of the geography of the track, but it's just, there's nothing up there, which is a little upsetting. Also, I did check, it's white in the game. I don't know why they didn't texture that. The cacti obviously turn to face you. And there's two different types of sand texture, which is kind of interesting. The rough sand and the kind of less rough sand, which I guess you had to do for gameplay purposes. But it is kind of interesting to be able to kind of hang out over here where you usually can't go. Not that there's really anything to do over here, but it is still fun to be able to like look at these places, like this huge, huge gulf of sand that's just kind of leads to nothing. Anyway, the track itself is not extremely interesting for a lot of it. You have the signs over here. They're representing Diddy Kong's clothing company and Koopa Air and Shoot. And then you go to the train, which is, it's just kind of a train. It's a really nice looking train from afar. I like the 64. Very nice shade of red. It gives it a very, the boxy polygons give it kind of a toy Christmas train sort of look. And then, you know, the rest of the track is kind of very standard, generic. But you have the train tracks split between two trains. There's two of them, or at least in here there is. I didn't check in the game if there's two. And then of course you have the, you can go around the track, but you can also go through the tunnel, which is brick on this side. You go to the other side and it's also brick. Unlike Luigi Raceway where it's only brick on one side. This texture is black though. There's no lights. You'd think there'd be like hanging lights, but there's not. This tunnel is super cool that they put it in here. It's kind of pointless, doesn't really do anything, but it is cool that it's there. It's something that's really cool to explore in time trials. It's a little less cool to explore here. Honestly, the coolest thing to explore is just all this stuff over here. Like all of this area that we can never usually go to way in the outside. To me is the really interesting part of this. This is probably the most interesting track of this cup, which isn't saying a lot, but it's saying something.